Welcome back, family. You're always welcome back to our channel. Before we dive into today's gist, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on the fun. Let's get started. Okay guys, let me tell you something the internet never forgets, and it definitely never sleeps. Just when you think the drama has cooled down, just when you're about to scroll past and mind your business, boom, somebody drops a statement that shakes the entire timeline. And that's exactly what happened with Sonia. If you've been following Nollywood gist like I know you have, then you already know things have been messy, confusing, and honestly a little exhausting. But today, Sonia said enough is enough, and trust me, what she had to say left the internet completely divided. Some people are standing with her, some are side-eyeing her silence, and others are still out here trying to play detective with old photos and collaborations. So grab your popcorn, settle in, and let me walk you through this entire saga because it's giving everything: emotion, timing, silence, speculation, and a whole lot of opinions. Nollywood is once again buzzing, but this time the energy feels different. It's not the usual playful banter or harmless industry gossip that fades away by the next news cycle. This time, the conversation has weight. It's heavy, it's uncomfortable, and it's forcing people to pick sides whether they want to or not. At the center of it all is Sonia, who finally decided to break her silence with a statement that hit the internet like a thunderclap. In her message, she made one thing crystal clear: she has never had anything to do with Maurice. Not romantically, not secretly, not in any way that the rumors have been suggesting. According to her, every single story linking her to him is not just false but deliberately designed to ruin her reputation and drag her name through the mud for no reason other than clicks, views, and engagement. What stood out the most wasn't just what she said, but how she said it. There was no anger, no insults, no long emotional rant filled with curse words. Instead, her tone was calm, measured, and deeply emotional in a way that felt real. It was the kind of statement that comes from someone who has been carrying pain quietly for too long and has finally decided that enough is enough. For weeks now, maybe even months if we're being honest, Sonia's name has been floating around in some very uncomfortable conversations. Bloggers have been hinting, commentators have been speculating, and social media detectives have been connecting dots that may not even exist. Some posts suggested secret meetings between her and Maurice. Others hinted at emotional entanglement and behind-the-scenes arrangements that the public wasn't supposed to know about. Every new post seemed to add another layer to the story, and with every repost, screenshot, and reaction video, the narrative grew bigger and more damaging. But according to Sonia, none of it is true. She described the entire situation as pure fiction, stories created for the sake of content, engagement, and clout. She said that people have been using her name to drive traffic to their pages without caring about the real damage it was doing to her life, her mental health, and her reputation. Sonia went on to explain that she didn't speak up immediately because she genuinely believed the rumors would fade on their own. She thought that if she stayed quiet, people would lose interest and move on to the next trending topic. But that's not what happened. Instead, the rumors grew louder, bolder, and more persistent. She said that watching her name being dragged repeatedly across timelines, comment sections, and group chats became unbearable. It wasn't just frustrating, it was painful, especially because she knew she hadn't done anything wrong. At some point, silence stopped being a strategy for peace and started feeling like punishment. She felt trapped, like speaking would make things worse but staying quiet was slowly breaking her. That's the kind of emotional weight she carried before finally deciding to release her statement, and honestly, you could feel it in every word she wrote. The timing of her statement is also something people have been talking about non-stop. It didn't just randomly drop out of nowhere. It came shortly after a fresh wave of posts, videos, and indirect captions started circulating online, all subtly hinting at a connection between her and Maurice. Some of these posts didn't even mention names directly, but the hints were clear enough for anyone paying attention to know exactly who they were talking about. Some people believe that Sonia's statement was a direct response to this latest round of speculation, while others think it may have been triggered by something more personal, maybe a private conversation, a threatening message, or simply the realization that staying silent was doing more harm than good. Either way, the timing made her statement impossible to ignore, and within hours, it was everywhere. As expected, social media absolutely exploded. Supporters came out in full force, praising Sonia for her courage, her composure, and the way she handled the situation without dragging anyone through the dirt. To them, her words felt honest, overdue, and deeply human. They appreciated that she didn't resort to name-calling or petty insults but instead chose to address the issue with dignity and clarity. On the other hand, critics had their own questions. They wanted to know why she waited so long to speak. They started pulling up old photos, behind-the-scenes clips, past collaborations, and industry events where she and Maurice Sam were spotted together, trying to build a case that maybe, just maybe, there was some truth to the rumors after all. Some even went as far as analyzing body language, facial expressions, and the way they stood next to each other in group photos, as if that could somehow prove a secret relationship. Supporters of Sonia, however, were not having it. They pushed back hard, reminding everyone that Sonia has always maintained a clean, professional image and rarely gets involved in online drama. They pointed out that just because two people work in the same industry, attend the same events, or collaborate on projects doesn't automatically mean there's something romantic going on. Professionalism should never be mistaken for intimacy, and the assumption that every male-female interaction in Nollywood must have some hidden romantic angle is not only exhausting but deeply unfair. They emphasized that Sonia has worked with dozens of actors, directors, and producers over the years, and no one has ever questioned her integrity before, so why start now? Sonia herself addressed this point very clearly in her statement. She stressed that working together on movie sets, exchanging scripts, attending premieres, or even grabbing lunch after a long day of shooting should not be twisted into something else. Collaboration is literally the backbone of the entertainment industry. Actors work closely with each other all the time. They rehearse scenes, share screen time, build chemistry for their roles, and yes, sometimes they even become friends. But none of that means there's a secret romance brewing behind the scenes. The fact that people can take normal professional interactions and turn them into full-blown scandals is part of the reason why so many celebrities struggle with maintaining boundaries and protecting their mental health. Speaking of mental health, Sonia didn't hold back when talking about the emotional toll these rumors took on her. She opened up about sleepless nights, constant anxiety, and the overwhelming pressure of living under a microscope where every move is watched, analyzed, and judged. She described the feeling of waking up every morning to new accusations, new assumptions, and new narratives being written about her life without her consent. This part of her message hit especially hard because it reminded people that behind the glamorous photos, red carpet appearances, and movie premieres, celebrities are still human beings with real feelings. They bleed, they cry, they break down, and they suffer when their names are dragged unfairly. For women especially, this kind of public scrutiny can be brutal because society is always quick to judge, quick to label, and quick to create stories that fit a certain narrative, regardless of whether those stories are true. Now let's talk about Maurice Sam, because his silence in all of this has become just as loud as Sonia's statement. As of now, Maurice has not directly responded to anything Sonia said. He hasn't released a statement, he hasn't posted on social media, and he hasn't given any interviews addressing the situation. His silence has left people with even more questions. Some see his silence as maturity and restraint, a sign that he's choosing not to add fuel to the fire. Others view it as avoidance, like he's hiding something or simply hoping the whole thing blows over without him having to take responsibility or clear the air. And then there are those who believe he's just protecting his peace and refusing to engage with rumors that don't deserve his energy. Whatever the case may be, his silence has become part of the story itself, and people are reading into it in 100 different ways. Insiders and sources close to both Sonia and Maurice have hinted that they've both been advised to stay quiet and let the situation cool down naturally. The thinking is that the more they engage, the more attention the story gets, and the longer it stays in the public eye. But here's the thing, silence doesn't always work the way people think it does. Sometimes staying quiet gives people even more room to speculate, create theories, and fill in the blanks with their own assumptions. And in the age of social media where everyone has an opinion and a platform to share it, silence can sometimes do more harm than good. So while the strategy might make sense in theory, in practice, it's a gamble that doesn't always pay off. Another massive angle to this whole situation is the role of bloggers and content creators. Sonia didn't call anyone out by name, but she made it very clear that certain individuals have been deliberately twisting stories, exaggerating details, and pushing false narratives purely for engagement. She subtly hinted that some bloggers care more about views, likes, and comments than they do about the truth or the damage their posts can cause to real people's lives. This part of her statement sparked a much bigger conversation about ethics in entertainment reporting. People started questioning whether bloggers have a responsibility to verify information before posting it, or whether they are free to share whatever they want as long as it generates traffic. Some bloggers immediately went into defense mode, insisting they stand by their claims and have sources to back them up. Others quietly edited or deleted their posts, which only made them look more suspicious. A few even issued half-hearted apologies, though many felt those apologies were more about damage control than genuine remorse. Supporters of Sonia also brought up her background, her values, and the way she was raised. They reminded everyone that she comes from a disciplined upbringing and has always carried herself with grace and professionalism. Dragging her into scandals without proof, they argued, is not only unfair but deeply disrespectful to someone who has worked hard to build a positive reputation in an industry that's not always kind to women. They pointed out that Sonia has never been involved in messy public breakups, social media fights, or any of the usual drama that tends to follow some celebrities. So the idea that she would suddenly be caught up in some secret affair with Maurice felt completely out of character to those who know her or have followed her career. Neutral observers, meanwhile, are calling for calm and reminding everyone that celebrities are human beings with real emotions, not characters in a never-ending reality show. They are urging people to stop treating public figures like they exist solely for entertainment and drama. Just because someone is famous doesn't mean they've signed away their right to privacy, dignity, or peace of mind. The constant need to dissect every aspect of their lives, create stories where none exist, and judge them based on incomplete information is exhausting not just for the celebrities but for anyone who's paying attention. One of the most powerful parts of Sonia's statement was her emphasis on boundaries. She made it abundantly clear that she has the right to control her own narrative and keep certain parts of her life private. She reminded people that just because she's in the public eye doesn't mean every detail of her personal life is up for public consumption or speculation. This resonated deeply with many women who understand how quickly and easily narratives can be formed around them without their consent. It sparked important discussions about consent, privacy, and the unfair expectations placed on women in the public eye. Women are often expected to explain themselves, justify their actions, and defend their reputations in ways that men rarely have to. And when they do speak up, they are labeled as defensive, dramatic, or too emotional. Sonia's statement was a pushback against that double standard, and a lot of people respected her for it. As hashtags started trending and fan pages reposted her statement across multiple platforms, it became clear that this issue had grown far beyond simple gossip. It had become a cultural moment, a conversation starter about truth, lies, responsibility, and the power of words. Sonia's words changed the conversation. Whether people believe her or not, she drew a line, reclaimed her voice, and made it clear that she will not be defined by rumors or speculation. And honestly, that alone is powerful. It takes courage to speak up when you've been silent for so long, especially when you know that speaking up might invite even more criticism and scrutiny. But here's the thing, questions still remain. Will Maurice eventually break his silence and share his side of the story? Will more details surface that either support or contradict what Sonia has said? Or will the storm quietly fade away as the internet moves on to the next trending topic? In the entertainment world, nothing is predictable. One day you're the center of attention, and the next day everyone has forgotten your name. But the damage caused by false narratives doesn't fade as quickly as the headlines do. That's the unfortunate reality of living in a world where rumors move fast but truth moves slowly. One lesson stands out clearly from all of this, and it's a lesson worth remembering. Rumors spread like wildfire, but the truth often takes its time to catch up. And by the time the truth finally comes out, the damage has already been done. Reputations have been tarnished, mental health has been affected, relationships have been strained, and lives have been altered in ways that can't always be undone. That's the real cost of careless words, unverified stories, and the rush to be the first to post something sensational without stopping to think about the consequences. Alright family, before we wrap this up, I need you to do me a huge favor. If you've made it this far, That means you're truly invested in the gist, and I appreciate you so much for that. Please don't forget to like this post, drop your honest thoughts in the comments, share it with your friends who need to stay updated, and subscribe so you never miss any hot updates. Your support is what keeps this space alive, and I genuinely appreciate every single one of you. Now, let's bring this home. In conclusion, Sonia's declaration that she has never had anything to do with Maurice Sam has opened a new chapter in an already complicated saga. Whether this is truly the end or just another beginning remains to be seen. For now, all eyes remain on both Sonia and Maurice, and the internet, as always, continues to watch, wait, and form opinions. The conversation is far from over, and knowing how these things go, there's probably more to come. So stay tuned, stay informed, and remember that behind every headline, there's a real person with real feelings. Thanks for reading till the end, family. More updates are coming, and you already know you don't want to miss them. Stay blessed, stay wise, and I'll see you in the next one. One love, guys.